Welcome, fans, to the 52nd episode of Changeover Chat, presented by Sportmaster Sports Surfaces. I'm your host, Randy Master. Today's guest is a former standout college tennis player at Virginia Commonwealth. You don't want to go to war with the Rams or with Boris. He has gone on to become a successful model turned actor. As an actor, he is widely known for his role as Kelby in the 2002 film Brown Sugar, and as Damon Carter in the Showtime series Soul Food. Our guest was born in Vienna, Austria, and grew up in Germany. In 2017, he was inducted into the VCU Athletics Hall of Fame, and in 2018, he was the commencement speaker at VCU's graduation. For the 100,000th time, I'm just going to mention it, he was voted one of People Magazine's 50 most beautiful people in the world. Has anybody ever told you that? Please welcome Boris Kodjoe.
Randy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and thanks so much for taking the time. Was yesterday your birthday, Boris?
Yes, it was. Yes, my birthday, my 32nd birthday.
Ha. Well, you're actually you're not as old as I've gotten to 50, so I don't think you're there yet. But I was just doing some research.
Almost.
But I saw that it was your birthday, and then I'm like, what an honor that Boris emailed me on his birthday. I mean, you were probably blowing out some candles, and oh, I've got to email Randy about tomorrow.
Yeah,
So thanks for
Randy and blowing up candles all went together perfectly.
thanks. So Boris, you grew up in Germany playing many sports. You focused on tennis. You were playing on the clay courts in Germany. There was another Boris that was a Wimbledon champion. I don't know if you remember who that was. He
I don't
won
know.
Wimbledon at age 17. He had the nickname Boom Boom. I know he played a big role in your career. Any idea who I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah. Actually, he just texted me for my birthday yesterday. Um, yeah, big, huge, gigantic influence, obviously, on everybody who grew up in that era. In the late '80s, he was single-handedly, I think, responsible for changing tennis. For tennis to become sort of entertainment, a power game. Right? He and Andre, and then later on Pete, I think they were responsible for really changing it into a power game.
Right.
Big serves, big forehands, aggressive. Obviously, Boris was jumping right and left at the net. So yeah, and we became really good friends, and he was always sort of like a mentor in a way. We grew up in the same academy system. He was older than me, but all practicing together in the same place, and just watching him, and then eventually being able to hit with him when I was 13, 14 was a
Yeah.
was a huge turning point for me, because it sort of symbolized that I could hang, right?
Right.
I could hang with the big boys. So that gives you a huge confidence boost when you're able to see that you're actually not that far off, and you're on the right path.
Right.
So yeah, huge, gigantic influence, definitely.
I guess as you grew up through that junior system in Germany, you ended up being recruited by a lot of American colleges. Now, was that something, Boris, that you had your eyes on doing as you were coming up through the ranks? Hey, I want to play college in America? Or did the coaches kind of come to you to recruit you, or a little bit of both?
Um, I was recruited. I had no idea about the college system, really. Remember, Randy, we're so old. That was before the internet was a tool that we could use to research,
Yeah.
these kind of things. I had heard about it, but I had my mind set on playing pro pretty much right after high school,
Right.
and I suffered an injury to my back, which then sort of threw a wrench into that plan. And when somebody approached me with the opportunity to playing here in the States, with the scholarship, That's when I started looking into it. But at that point, I had already been recruited by many of the schools. I had sort of shrugged it off before. And I started then getting on the phone and talking to some of these coaches that were recruiting me. And Paul Costin at VCU really stood out because, number one, he was from Sweden, so he understood the cultural challenges that I was to face when coming to the States. Not speaking the language very well, and feeling like a fish out of water. So he could relate to that. He would sort of walk me through some of the steps that needed to be done in terms of getting an academic footing and how it all works, because I had no idea.
Right.
And then he also was recruiting some of the players I knew from the tour that were from Sweden and France, and we had an entirely international team. We didn't have a single American player. We had one American player on the team. His name was David Gibbs.
Yeah.
Very, very, very
I
nice
played played high school tennis with him.
And oh, there you go. So other than David, there was no other Americans on the team.
Right.
And we all had experience on the tour, so we sort of jumped right in and catapulted VCU from unranked to number 4 in the country in our first year, which was very exciting. And the team sort of energy and the spirit of doing this together, it was a great time. I really enjoyed VCU. I got my degree, my business degree from there. I have forged many relationships that I hold dear to my heart to this day. I go there every once in a while. I visit my friends. I have really strong ties still to VCU and the community in Richmond.
Yeah, well, I know that injuries prevented you from pursuing a career in the program. Is that something that you knew in your latter days at VCU, that you were going to be prevented by a certain injury? I think it was something that you had been bothered with from when you were a kid. Is that correct?
It was a genetic thing called stenosis, where your spinal canal is narrow and it sort of chronically pinches the sciatic nerve, which is very painful. And playing consecutive matches was a big challenge for me because of the pain. I could play a team match, and then play some doubles and be good for a couple of days, but
Yeah.
it was just impossible at the time. Also, the medical advancements weren't as great. I was sort of faced with a 50-50 chance if I got surgery. So it became clearer and clearer in my second and third year of college that my college career was pretty much it. And coach was very understanding. He supported me in managing my body, and so he left it up to me how much to be on the court and practice, and he was really forthcoming in that respect.
So, as you know, Boris, players that spend years in college, they might graduate from college here in the U.S., there aren't a lot of them traditionally that make it to the highest levels of the tour. John Isner, you can make an argument. You can make an argument about Kevin Anderson, who played at Illinois. Stevie Johnson at USC. Right now, Jen Brady is playing the best tennis we've ever seen. She played at UCLA. Mackie McDonald made it to the fourth round of the Australian Open. Then you have UVA's Danielle Collins and Brandon Nakashima. So you have Marcus Gorin, who played at UCLA. The reason I'm mentioning all these players is, do you think there is a renewed level of success with players that play college tennis in the U.S., and are they inspiring a generation of great players that might not want to make that jump now, that want that college experience because they see somebody like a Danielle Collins or a Jen Brady having success right now?
I think everybody's path is different. Players mature at different times and through their own processes, right? So somebody who might be ready to go on tour at 18 has to be compared to somebody who might mature at 24. So I don't think we can sort of generalize across the board. I think it's important to point out players like John Isner,
Yeah.
who has enjoyed a very successful college career, Stevie J, and then went on to play on a tour very successfully. Maybe that's what he needed. Maybe he needed an environment at home with his coach, with a team and a team environment that allowed him to mature as a player and grow and become better. And other kids from South America who don't have a chance to go to college, they might thrive in another academy setting, or a lot of players get better at home, really at home with their own coaches. So I don't think we can generalize. I think that we have to actually create space for all those different variables and variations and diversity and opportunity to come into play. I think one of the most important factors is culture, believe it or not. I believe that we haven't seen as many quote unquote superstars coming out of the States because I think that our youth has had the disadvantage of having too much access. If
Right.
you know what I mean. I think that too much access creates complacency. I think it creates players who might not be able to create self-initiative around working as hard as they should or could. I think that players like Novak Djokovic, who grew up in a war, I think that players from from South America, who had to battle to even be able to get on the court and get any type of training. I think their sense of not necessarily gratitude, but their sense of opportunity and creates a grittiness and a work ethic and a drive and a will that is um, that is hard to compete with.
Right.
Right? If you come from a place where everything is so readily available, and it's not really the player's fault. It's really, again, it's culture. I spoke to, I think it was Patrick McEnroe years ago about before they launched this huge USTA tennis center in Orlando with 100 courts and 1 million trainers and stuff. And I said to him, "That's great. It's great to have these kind of facilities, but it's not going to change the culture. I think what changes the culture is when you get a hold of these kids when they're, 6, 7, 8 years old, and you work with their parents and their coaches and their environment to make sure that they understand the workmanship that's necessary, the drive and that's necessary. And then there's also people who argue that you can't teach that, right? It's drive is something that you're born with.
Yeah.
Self-initiative is something you're born with or you're not. I was working out with one of the players here who was on the Davis Cup team, and that was back when the London Olympics were going on. And I said, "Hey, are you going to London?" He said, "I don't know yet." And I said, "Why? You're on the team." He said, "Well, it's in the city, and it's, Wimbledon is right after, and I don't know if I want to do that." That says a lot about the general sort of constitution about a competitor, right? If you look at the superstars, the Rafas, the Feds, the Djokovic's of the world, they all grew up in an environment where they didn't expect to do that well, but they knew that if they wanted to have a shot, it was through work ethic. It was through working more and harder than the next person. And I'm not sure that a lot of the younger players, especially here, know what that is.
Yeah.
You
And
know what I mean?
yeah, and Patrick McEnroe was on my show a few weeks back, and
Mhm.
to this point, and it's not apples to apples, but Patrick spoke with me a lot about the fact that it's very hard to get young kids, young male kids that are 6, 7, 8 years old, interested in the sport of tennis because there's baseball, there's basketball, there's hockey, there's soccer. And what Patrick said, it was interesting. He said the girls that grow up that are good athletes in this country are much more apt to pick up tennis than boys that are
Mhm.
good athletes in this country. So basically saying the women that we see rising through the ranks, whether it's Serena or Danielle Collins or um, Coco Gauff, they are much better athletes
Mhm.
than the men that become successful pros on the tour. Would you agree with that?
Why is he saying they're much better athletes?
He's essentially saying, Boris, that kids that are 7, 8, 9 in their formative years that are great athletes, they
Mhm.
choose to play other sports, basketball, football, baseball, whatever it is, for
Mhm.
whatever reason. Young girls that are great athletes tend to have tennis near the top of
Yeah,
their list. So he's
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that all of these great athletes, it's hard to get them in to tennis. Tennis wouldn't be the first sport on their list on the boys' side. So
Yeah. Well, I agree with I agree with that statement, but I think the caveat is that um, I come from an agency system that promoted playing other sports.
right,
Like we were taught that playing soccer, playing basketball, playing handball, playing all these different sports actually qualified or added to the so-called 10,000 hours, right? Malcolm Gladwell. When you talk about mastering a craft, it takes about 10,000 hours.
yeah,
Me playing soccer competitively actually helped my tennis because it gave me endurance and speed and explosiveness and hand-eye coordination and balance, and all that helped my tennis. Basketball helps tennis. Tennis helps basketball. I think that there's definite advantages of playing multiple sports at an early age. It's a question of scheduling when you are 14, 15, I believe. I believe at that time, you have to get in so many reps that it becomes impossible to play three sports. You
yeah,
have to figure out, you have to focus on one. But when you're 7, 8, 9, my son, Nicholas, he played everything. And I wanted him to play everything because I wanted him to fall in love with sports.
yeah.
Because when a child falls in love with sports, it lays a foundation that they then can build on if they have a keen interest to play one specific sport later on in life.
Let's move quickly to your day job of acting. You currently play Battalion Chief Robert Sullivan in the ABC primetime series Station 19. Seems like a role, Boris, that is it fits very well with you, and I think, and you have to tell me this because I'm completely speculating. I think your character mirrors some of who you are in real life, not across the board, but there's something inside of him, a determination, helping others, a just the way he goes about his business that I think there's some similarities to the Boris Kodjoe off screen.
I'm sure. Anytime I play a part, I try to infuse some of my personal experiences into the
Yeah,
character, which makes it more real, right? If you can say that in a job where you're doing make believe. But absolutely, there's things that Robert Sullivan that make up Robert Sullivan that are absolutely familiar to me. There's associations, there's experiences that I've been through that I've infused into the character. That's what makes it fun, to find things in the character that you can identify with and relate to.
yeah. Well, outside of playing that character, and I'm going to watch every episode now. Now that we've spoken one on one, I actually watched a couple last night. great show. I'm going to keep watching it for sure. There is the husband, there's the father, there's the philanthropist, there's the entrepreneur, Boris Kodjoe. There's too much to talk about there. Let's talk about from a philanthropic standpoint. What are you most proud of in some of the initiatives that you've taken to help others, whether they be children, whether they be first responders recently with your mask initiative? What are you most proud of?
That was a great initiative. I mean, I have to give all credit to my wife who came up with the idea to pivot. She has a company called Gym Wrap, and decided that we could pivot and start manufacturing masks and make them available to all first responders and essential workers when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And we've given away almost $1 million worth of masks to these real life heroes that have been fighting this virus on behalf of us.
Yeah.
That was really a fulfilling initiative that we were able to be a part of, because in times like these, which is a first for us in this generation, you have to figure out a way how to help each other, how to stick together, how to create a collective consciousness to take responsibility, be accountable for one another. And us manufacturing these masks and giving them away, first of all, it wouldn't have happened without our fans and without people buying masks in droves, and so we can give them away. But it makes you feel like you're part of something, and that's really counterintuitive to the pandemic, because it's separated all of us. It's isolated us, really confined us to our homes in such a huge way worldwide, that an initiative like that does the opposite. It brings us back together, which was a really, really good feeling.
So moving back to tennis, we're in the Tennis One app, so we should probably focus mostly on tennis. You notice some of the rackets I have in the background, Boris?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the Mats Wilander, the Rosing on the left, and I can't tell. Is it a Adidas one on the right?
It is the Arthur Ashe competition.
Oh,
The old head racket.
Head, yeah.
Um, so Rogers back this week. Novak, hasn't been on the court in quite a while. Novak breaks the record yesterday for the most weeks at number one. Rafa's still kind of hanging around. I know it's a question that's asked all the time, but who's gonna finish with the most Grand Slams? And I think it's pertinent to ask anyone that follows tennis that question, because it's up for grabs.
Yeah. Well, Father Time is undefeated, so I think Novak has a little bit of an advantage just in terms of age. I think he's got a good 5-6 years left at a top level, which gives him, another 20-24 shots at a Grand Slam. I'm not sure that Roger's going to play longer than 2 years.
Yeah.
Even though I hope he will, because I'm such a huge fan of his. I think he's the greatest player who's ever lived.
Yeah.
Just his arsenal, his variety, his mental, his ability to turn tennis into a chessboard. He's got every shot in the book. He goes from defense to offense seamlessly. To me, he's the greatest who's ever done it. And just to watch him is poetry in motion.
Yeah.
And I love Rafa's heart and his spirit, and how he plays every single point like it's the last point he'll ever play.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of those two, but I think that Novak will end up with the most slams just because of time.
Yeah.
Just because he's got the most years left. I think it's just a question of math at this point.
Yeah.
So I hope the next 2 years are going to be exciting. Also, we have so many young players coming up that are really exciting. 3 years ago, I didn't think that there was anybody in terms of personalities that could match the big three, but I think there's a few guys out there now, starting with, Alex Zverev and Rublev, Medvedev. There's a lot of excitement out there now amongst the young players. Obviously, Tsitsipas, incredible, the Austrian, the Dominic team,
Dominant
exactly.
team. Yeah.
There's a lot of great young players who are coming up, who are going to make this next sort of 10 years really, really exciting. But we were blessed to witness the greatest tennis ever played with Roger and Rafa and Novak these past 15 years, almost 20 years. And on the women's side too, we were so blessed to see, Serena dominate like nobody's ever dominated before. So it's gonna be an emotional transition to that next generation for me, because I've grown so fond of these players that have sort of given us so much over the past 15 years.
Yeah, no, I agree because I'm in that generation, and but I think, as you said, there is a crew coming up that is knocking on the door right now. I mean, Team broke through and won his first U.S. Open. Um, Naomi Osaka, what can you say about her? I mean,
Unbelievable. Yes.
unbelievable player. So the last thing I want to say, Boris, I want to get back to VCU college basketball. I think your brother played for the Rams, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yes. Yeah.
So this weekend, huge game. VCU's in the Atlantic 10 final against St. Bonaventure in Dayton. They win, they get the automatic bid into the NCAAs. They lose, they're still probably in.
They need to win. They need to win.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we won't have to be there on Selection Sunday, like,
Exactly.
sweating. So young team, if they get in, what kind of run can they make in the NCAA tournament? Or are they too young to win more than one round?
You never know. I think that youthfulness and whatever immaturity sometimes is an advantage because you don't overthink things.
Yeah.
Right. They might not be aware half the time of the magnitude of the situation that they're in, which could be an advantage.
Yeah.
March Madness, anything can happen. We've seen so many crazy things happen over the years. And look at Duke's record right now. They're under 500.
Yeah.
Right. Or UNC. I mean, the so-called usual suspects are not usual suspects anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about Gonzaga or Baylor or someone like that. But so it's exciting. I think it's exciting because you never know what's going to happen. You might go on a run, and I remember I was there in Texas when they went to the Final Four.
Yeah.
With Shaka back in the day. So I'm excited. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for this young team. I'm excited. I go visit VCU, and I go. They have an incredible basketball performance center.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah. It's incredible, state of the art.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the program. I'm really excited what Ed has done, with the athletic department and how he supported the growth of the teams and the players. I'm rooting for them every time they step on the court. So hopefully they win today, which would give them an automatic bid, and then I'm there every game they play.
Yeah. Well, I want to end this. I'm going to put on my Rams hat.
See, I'm jealous. I couldn't find my hat.
Well,
so
I think
Paul, have to carry the torch.
Yeah, I think Paul sent me this, and
oh, he did?
I always ask him for stuff from time to time. But
sure.
Anyway, this is a good trucker hat. So yeah, let's see. I'm hoping for the Rams to make a run here. So anyway, Boris, this has been great. It's great, great hearing everything about your life from beginning to where you are now, and it's really, really impressive. And keep doing what you're doing. It's phenomenal. The life.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time, Randy.
Okay. You too.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.